Welcome to The Breakthrough with Stephen Houston, the show that takes you behind the scenes with successful entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and other movers and shakers in the business world. In each episode, we'll sit down with our guests to explore their personal and professional journeys, including the challenges they faced, the breakthrough moments that propelled them to success, and the strategies and the tactics they used to get there. Get inspired by new ideas and strategies and get to know our guests on a deeper level. Join us for candid conversations, powerful insights, and plenty of breakthrough moments. Please help us grow by subscribing and sharing the podcast, and welcome to the show. Our guest needs no introduction to short-term rentals as he's become a legend in the industry. He started with a single property and transformed it into a thriving empire of 31 successful Airbnbs. And he did this with uniquely themed accommodations. He's known for creativity, attention to detail, and a commitment to providing unparalleled guest experiences. But it doesn't stop there. Through his STR Legend Mastermind, he's been guiding and empowering countless real estate investors to embrace the world of short-term rentals and achieve their own breakthroughs. Today, we are honored to sit down with the one and only MyBrokerMatt. In this interview, Matthew shares his invaluable insights and the secrets behind his journey to becoming a true STR expert. So without further ado, let's dive into the conversation with MyBrokerMatt. Thanks for joining onto my podcast. I appreciate it. I know that we had spoke a couple months ago, and that probably would have been the one that we should have recorded because it was pretty intense and it was great. And I just remember we got off. I'm like, damn, I wish I would have had that recorded. But we got on the calendar and here we are today. So I'm glad you could make it and jump on. So how are you doing today? We certainly did. Oh, so, well, I guess we could let's just, that's 7 people. Well, okay, so in the first try of the podcast, I brought that up. So and I think for the audience and where I found you first was years before COVID and you getting into short-term rentals. You were making videos, for out-of-state investors, and you were doing walkthroughs of properties and you were showing the good, the bad, the ugly. You had a lot of humor in there. Um, and I always thought it was interesting when you would do the videos too. I go, God, it's so cold there. You can just tell. Be snow and you're in like these big jackets and things. And I was, I'm like, damn, it's cold there. I don't know. I don't know. And I think at that point, um, I think I had bought 2 houses in Michigan, one in Detroit, one in Harper Woods, and then I started following you, and I was going through agents and people and burning through them. I mean, it is kind of tough to build a team out in Detroit from what I've experienced. That's just me. I'm just gonna put it out there. It's been tough, but I found you and just started following you, for a while, and then COVID came, and we started talking through through DMs on Instagram. And then we literally had a conversation when I was climbing a mountain. Like I was on my mountain bike and we were both talking to each other, just blah, blah, back and forth. And I think you messaged like, what are you doing, dude? And I'm like, well, I'm climbing a mountain right now. And he's like, well, you're like, what? So, and it's been cool to watch your journey progress from where I saw you to now. And I think that's a big part of shooting content, being on social media and documenting what you do. It really is a cool thing to, like, watch that progression, don't you think? Yeah. That's a tough business. Are you doing property management for your short-term space and for long-term rentals for your clients? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, you started off with the long-term rental scenario, and primarily most of your clients at that point were probably first-time buyers and sellers, but then a lot of out-of-state investors. So you were doing a lot of that. And are you still helping investors do that? Or are you kinda going straight more to STR, short-term rentals, and is that more the main focus? Yeah. Yeah. Right, right. So, okay. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. How are you so explain to me your first beginning to end short-term rental. Like, break that down. So, I know that you went somewhere and went to some conferences, or you probably listened to a couple podcasts and something intrigued you. Tell me that process from beginning to end if you can. The beginning. Yes, yes. Like, how was that all how many issues did you have? Yeah. I got a question. Sorry to interrupt. I got a question, because we're on furnishings. What do you do now when it comes to furnishing? Do you have a dedicated interior designer that comes in and, like, sets the theme of the property? Hmm, I've seen that. Yeah, I saw that one. Mhm. Yeah, that's great. That's and as time went on and you started to scale, explain to me how you started to implement systems, because I know that's a huge part of this. Oh gosh, here we go. Okay. Explain what that is to the audience. We take a lot of things for granted, you know that, you know? That's good. Right. Loom? Yeah. Yes. Where did you source your VAs, and what platforms were you, getting your VAs from? Absolutely. It's totally true. Well, I don't think people understand what happens is you go, "Okay, I'm trying to scale and I'm growing this business. I need a VA." So then you hire the VA and then you're like, you have to train them and it takes time to get that that synergy together. But once you do get it there and everything is moving the way it should, then it's almost another scale because now you can take on another one and they can hyper focus on one little section of the business and you got one for this, you got one for this. And then it gets, I think people just are lazy and don't want to put the time into their VA. They're not going to just know how to do things. They'll know how to do basic, but you really have to teach them and put in that time. And yeah, and then it's great. Right. 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 They're so essential to your business, especially if you're doing it multiple businesses, you just you mentioned 5 businesses that you're currently working in, give or take. So, the VAs are so crucial in that part because at the end of the day, you can't do it all, or there maybe be days you don't wanna do anything and the business is still running and the people are still doing everything in the background. And I think that that's a lot of things people definitely don't because a lot of people do not want to, let go of the reins. They think they're gonna do everything better, um, and that nobody can do it as good as they can do it. But that really holds you back from the growth. If you can just get somebody and have them mirrored, if they can do 70%, but they're enthusiastic, they're into the business, they want the growth, they wanna go on that journey with you, is massive. And, Angel is a good example. I'm grooming her to be the one that runs the team of VAs. Like we've already added another one. We got editors under her and she's managing all of it. But I don't want her to do it all because it's too much for her. I want to get her to a point where she's going to take over really what she loves to do. She can take care of the rest of the team. And the rest can, do what they really love to do as well so that everybody's happy, in what they're into. Like it's they gotta love what they're doing. I don't want them to feel like they're just logging in to make money. Absolutely. Yes, we use it. But it's a big part. It's a big part of our business, and I think it's a big I think it's a thing that people think about a lot and don't jump aboard because they just don't understand it and they don't know the value it's there. So it is a big topic, especially for investors or short-term, operators. This is how you scale. You need to have them one way or another. It's just that's the reality. Unless you're gonna have, 10 friends local to an area that you live in and and everybody has a role, then maybe that could work too. Absolutely. But um yeah, but you brought up a really good point about asking them their future. One thing that I do with Angel is we are constantly talking about where she can be down the road. I don't want her to just show up and be in that one position. I really want, and you know what's interesting? Over the last year, for instance, content. We started putting out a lot of content, shooting videos. But what happened during that period of time is we learned how to source editors, how to find copywriters, how to do all these different things. And she learned how to do all that. Now we have people coming to us that need help on, getting making videos and getting editing done. And so we turned that into a business. And, I want her to feel like it's her business. Even though she's not here, it's part of her business. And so we've noticed that there's a lot of things that we've taken for granted over the, year and a half that we've learned so much that it's valuable to other people. So now we're turning that into more businesses. So it's really, you know what I mean? It's really wild. I don't know. I mean, we're on this podcast and we're talking 10, 15 years ago. This would have never been. We wouldn't have been talking, you and I. Period. Yeah. Wow. Dude, seriously, that's so crazy. Yeah, 30 is the norm. I see 30 mostly, especially on the Smokies, the companies that are, doing the management for people, I see 30. Well, yeah, it's interesting. That is a good point. We self-manage ourselves, and, that's a big chunk of revenue that we save, and we've had other people coming to us that, want us to co-host for them, and we just haven't got to that point yet because we don't have enough under our belt to do it. For us, I think what's happening is we're going in so many different directions. We're trying to make sure that we are focusing on the right things, still generating revenue and, still building out these businesses. We don't want to take on too much at once and not be able to deliver the results that we want. And we make mistakes on our own. You know what I mean? Like we make mistakes and that's okay. I think making mistakes is totally fine as long as you're learning from your mistakes and moving on. Then you're good. But that's real estate, and I don't care what space you're in. You're learning. Actually, I just listened to Robert Kiyosaki and his wife and some other gentleman on a podcast, and all they were talking about is their mistakes. And they're super successful, and they were just laying it all out there. One of the big ones was trusting people. Like too much trust. And that is definitely one of my drawbacks. I think I'll get on the phone with somebody. I'm going to go to invest, or I'm looking for another agent or market or contractor, you name it. And I'll just listen to them and I'll build that trust. But then, that trust is, got me in trouble because it's gone the other direction, you know, down the road with like a contractor that I'm like, hey, yeah, this guy's cool and he's going to get it done. And then all of a sudden, he's basically robbing me blind. No, you don't. No. Yeah, so what's been, besides your business, what's going on in the personal life? You've had a lot of changes. Yeah. Everybody knows that follows you, they just see it online. That's great. Congrats. I love that color is awesome, by the way, in the background. I like it. You know, it's interesting. It looks like it almost has like a undertone of green to it, like a grayish green, but now I look at it, it's changing, so it's like a charcoal, I would say. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, you're right. There you go, there you go. Yeah, it looks good. Wait, what? What are you talking about? Where? Where'd you grow up? Right. No, no, it's okay. I think that you know why? It's your story, and no one can take away your story, you know? And it shaped you in what you do now, don't you think? I mean, it you mm, yeah. Where's that at, by the way? What neighborhood are you was it's in Royal Oak, okay. Well, for the listeners, can you tell them what Royal Oak is like? Because there's a lot of spaces out there, so does it have a downtown? That's cool. Are Teslas popular out there? Right. Well, that's all gonna change by the way, d due to the fact that Ford and GM both announced that they're gonna start to use Tesla's charging stations, and that is gonna, make this yeah, and now Rivian's jumping on board too, so now there's 3 legacy well, 1 EV maker and then the legacies that are, gonna be using Teslas. So I think that's great. They finally came around and said, "Hey, let's not waste time. Let's start making cars and get on this network and let's move along." So, that's interesting. Yeah, it's cool. Absolutely. Right. That's cool. What do you well, right now, what have you been working on? Anything interesting that is exciting you that you got going on? Yeah. The coaching part's super, rewardable. Feels good to r doesn't it? Yeah. Breakthroughs. That's crazy. Is that the mastermind group that you're talking about? Okay, and so tell me, when did you start that? And then how many people do you have in the mastermind group currently? Right. You've been talking about it for a while. You've been talking about it for a while, and you know what? I think that some people would be like, "Okay, you've been talking about it for a long time." But here's the thing. I think what some people don't understand, it's almost the same thing as Elon talking about something in the business. He's got the vision, he knows where he's going, and he's gonna talk about it. Now, does that vision happen the following year? No. Maybe it takes a long time, but the fact of the matter is little steps are going towards that. We when I started this podcast, well, I wanted to start a podcast, and I went to a uh, a course for Neil Holm, who teaches realtors and loan officers how to shoot video. So I went to that, and I was so excited, and I go, dude, I want to start a podcast, and they're like, one step at a time, and I didn't realize, and I of course put it on social media. I want to do podcasts, so I tell people, and that makes me accountable. And I'm going to start doing it. But dude, I said that almost a year ago, and it almost took a year to get it up and running. It's not the recording, like sitting here and having the conversation part. That's easy. It's like everything to do in the back end, how to set up, you know, get everything on Anchor and on Apple. So I totally understand where you were coming from when you were bringing it up on social media. I knew like I knew that I'm like, oh, he's bringing it up, but he's going through all those pain points and figuring things out and how to make it better. And this is not that I just figured something out while I was in the shower. And now I'm going to update this guy, right? Am I? Good, good. You, yeah, yeah, it's cool. I think it's, there's one thing, having you on the podcast and why you're on the podcast is because I follow you. I've had conversations on the phone, and I kind of understand your personality because I've seen you for a long period of time. And in an era where we can follow a lot of people and there's a lot of, you have to get through the noise. You can follow some people that think they're gurus and don't even walk the walk, don't even own property sometimes. It's very strange right now out there. It's crazy. But and I've had these really great conversations with people on the West Coast, to you, to all these different people in different businesses. And now I'm almost at that point where I really want to have my own mastermind group too, of like these people. Like, I want to invite you. I want to go to my cabin in the Smokies at some point through May to October and bring 5 people maybe, and just bring everybody together and just, see what, because I feel like this is where it all kind of all happens. Like, there's things that you've said indirectly right now that maybe you just said, but it almost puts me in another direction too. It's very strange. And you just don't get that. Right. You need it. So I want to end it on this, because the podcast is the Breakthrough Podcast. And I know you've already thrown that out a couple of times, but can you give me one of your most memorable breakthrough moments?
It was probably COVID. It was right after the first one and COVID, right after the first STR, when I was like, oh my God, it's actually working. I decided to convert my next long-term that was going to be coming up. The lease it was expiring. They were going to be moving. I said, I'm going to try and convert that. And I converted that. And sure enough, that was making even more money. I was like, well, for my third one, that made even more money. Then I bought my fourth one. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And right on my fourth or fifth one, that's when COVID happened. And my long-terms were struggling and my STRs weren't. And I was like,
I'm on to something.
What is happening here? And I quintupled down, more or less. And that was kind of the moment, man. Like, and even before that, it's just starting in your first investment period, right? Remember the fear, the doom, the gloom, you're on bigger pockets, you're triple dipple underwriting everything. Oh my God, I'm gonna screw this up. And then you buy it, you're like, oh my God, I didn't get screwed. And you buy your second one, like, I think if I do it similar, I probably won't screw it up. I'm okay. By your third one, you're like, yeah, I don't need to worry so much. And by your 10th one, you're like, run it. Let's go.
Let's not waste time. I'm already thinking about the 11th one.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, hey, man, I just want to thank you again. Thank you so much for having me on. You do a great job. I really look forward to seeing your content and all the podcasts you put out.
Yeah.
And yeah,
thank you for joining. I'm glad we finally got on this, and I know this won't be the last. And at some point, I don't know, at some point down the road here, I think we're gonna do things together. I have a feeling, and I don't say that with everybody, but I think this is going to be something that will happen at one point. I know what you mean, man. Another. Okay.
I know what you mean.
Well, hey,
my brother.
Congrats with everything. Looking forward to seeing the baby photo when that comes too. And
thank you, man.
Best of luck on that, because you better get you're gonna be having some sleepless nights. So
don't remind me. Oh,
all right, buddy.
Killing me. All right, my brother.